The ocean depths of Virax Prime had never known darkness until now. The Viraki, once masters of their watery domain, now huddled in the few remaining trenches their harvesters couldn't reach. Elder Nima's translucent skin flickered with failing bioluminescence as she swam through the sacred gathering chamber. Around her, the remaining 12 elders formed a perfect circle, their tendrils gently intertwining. "They have taken the eastern seas today," Elder Thull announced, his neural patterns broadcasting images of massive mechanical tentacles plunging into their world's oceans. The shallow plains communities, all gone. No one spoke. No one needed to. In their telepathic communion, words were redundant. Each felt the other's grief like physical wounds. Above, the Card Imperium's harvesting ships blotted out the sunlight. 47 days since their arrival. 47 days of methodical extinction. Have they responded to any communication attempts? Asked the youngest elder, Zira. Her hope pattern was weak but detectable. Nima's tendrils curled in resignation. The Card do not acknowledge our existence as sentient beings. Their neural structures show no recognition of our transmissions. The Viraki had encountered 4 spacefaring species in their long history. All had been able to establish some form of communication, even if imperfect. The Card were different, evolved without the capacity for empathy, their brains ruthlessly logical, seeing the universe as merely resources to be calculated and collected. They take our people for study. Elder Thull shared his memory. A transport pod filled with captured Viraki, their fear patterns chaotically broadcasting until suddenly silenced. They extract our telepathic organs while we still live. The circle tightened, their combined despair clouding the water with stress hormones. "We have one option remaining," Elder Nima said finally. "The deep call." The chamber grew utterly still. The deep call, a theoretical application of their telepathic abilities, had never been attempted. It would require the elders to push their consciousness beyond their world, into the void between stars. "We will die in the attempt," Zira whispered, her neural patterns flashing with fear. "We die regardless," Thull replied. "At least this way, we choose our ending." The elders formed the consciousness weave, their minds meshing into a single entity. As one, they gathered every memory of Card atrocities. The drained seas, the harvested communities, the children torn apart for study, and condensed these experiences into raw emotional content, suffering, fear, and a desperate plea for mercy. With their remaining strength, they cast this psychic signal outward, beyond their atmosphere, into the cold darkness of space. The signal contained no coordinates, no technical specifications, nothing a logical mind would recognize as communication. Just pure distilled suffering and a plea for intervention. As the last of their energy faded, Elder Nima whispered into the collective consciousness, "May someone hear our call." The elders sank slowly to the seafloor, their bioluminescence dimming. Above, the Card ships continued their harvest, oblivious to the psychic cry that passed through their hulls and out into the stars. Dr. Eliza Chen jolted awake, gasping for air. Her quarters aboard the U.S. Discovery were bone dry, yet she could taste salt water. The nightmare had felt so real. Drowning while haunting, musical cries echoed in her mind. She checked her tablet. 3:47 hours. The third night in a row. With a sigh, she requested the lights at 30% and swung her legs over the bed's edge. The ship's AI noticed her movement. "Dr. Chen, your vital signs indicate distress. Shall I notify medical?" "No," she said, massaging her temples. "Just another dream." 6 months into their deep space exploration mission, stress-induced nightmares weren't unusual. Still, these felt different, more invasive, as if the dreams weren't entirely her own. "I'm not finding anything physically wrong," Dr. Okafor said, running the tissue regenerator over Chen's forehead. "Your brain scans are normal, aside from slightly elevated theta waves during sleep." Chen nodded, wincing as another pain spike shot through her skull. "It's not just headaches," It's like voices, not English or any language. More like feelings, desperate ones. Okafor's expression remained professionally neutral. I'm prescribing a mild sedative. Deep space affects people differently. Rest today and... The sickbay doors hissed open as two crewmen half-carried Lieutenant Commander Jackson inside. The normally stoic tactical officer was pale, shaking, clutching his head. "Make it stop," he muttered. "The water. They're dying in the water." Chen's eyes widened. "That's what I've been dreaming about." Captain Maya Santos surveyed the 14 crew members gathered in the conference room, all suffering identical symptoms over the past 72 hours. The statistical probability of identical hallucinations affecting 7.8% of the crew is approximately 0.4%. Science Officer T. Lara noted, "This suggests an external causative factor." Dr. Raj Patel, the ship's tenopsychologist, cleared his throat nervously. "Captain, I have an alternative theory. It's unconventional." Santos gestured for him to continue. After 6 months in uncharted space, unconventional had become routine. "I believe we're receiving a telepathic distress call," Patel said. The Vulcan science officer raised a skeptical eyebrow. "Based on the affected crew members' brain scans and consistent imagery, something is broadcasting pure emotional content directly into receptive minds." "Humans aren't telepathic," Santos countered. "Not actively." "No," Patel agreed, "but passive reception. We've never fully mapped human empathic capabilities. The affected crew all score unusually high on empathic sensitivity tests." Chen leaned forward. "The voices feel like they're getting more desperate, like they're running out of time." Santos studied her senior staff. Starfleet protocol was clear. Unexplained neural phenomena required immediate quarantine and return to the nearest outpost. Yet something tugged at her, an inexplicable certainty that somewhere, someone was crying out for help. Navigation, analyze the signal pattern from the affected crew member's brain activity. See if you can triangulate a point of origin, she ordered. "Captain," T. Lara interjected. "Starfleet Regulation 5.09 clearly states." "I'm aware of regulations, Commander," Santos interrupted. "But something tells me this isn't a threat. It's a call for help." She turned to the communication station. "Send a message to command. We're investigating a potential distress signal." The headache that had been building behind her eyes suddenly intensified, bringing with it a flash of blue-green waters turned dark with fear. Dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1. The Discovery shuddered as it tore back into normal space. On the bridge view screen, a blue-green world appeared, breathtaking in its oceanic beauty. And surrounding it, like parasitic insects on wounded prey, hovered 7 massive industrial vessels. Scans indicate the vessels are approximately 4.8 kilometers in length, T. Lara reported. "Unknown configuration, unknown origin." Captain Santos leaned forward. "Life signs on the planet. Significant aquatic biomass, detecting complex neural patterns consistent with sentient life." The science officer paused. "Captain, the alien vessels are extracting the planet's oceans. Massive quantities of water and biological matter are being pumped into their holds." Chen clutched her head as a wave of pain crashed through her skull. "They're screaming louder now. We're close." The tactical officer's console beeped. "Captain, we're being scanned. The alien vessels have detected us, but..." He frowned. "They're not altering their operations or attempting communications. They don't see us as a threat," Santos murmured, "or worth acknowledging." Mechanical appendages larger than skyscrapers plunged into the planet's oceans, emerging minutes later laden with water and biomatter. Efficient, methodical, unstoppable. "My God," breathed Dr. Patel, watching the environmental data stream in. "At their current pace, they'll completely drain the planet's oceans within 14 days. Chen struggled to her feet, swaying. "Captain, we need tow." Her words cut off as her eyes rolled back. She collapsed to the deck, body rigid, face contorted. "Medical team to the bridge." Santos shouted, kneeling beside her communications officer. Chen's body suddenly relaxed. When her eyes opened, they glowed with an unnatural blue luminescence. When she spoke, the voice that emerged was not her own, flowing and musical, with harmonics impossible for human vocal cords. "You hear us. How? No species has ever heard our call." The senior staff gathered in sickbay around Chen's biode. The blue glow had faded from her eyes, but neural scans showed unprecedented activity in her limbic system and mirror neuron complex. "They're called the Viraki," she explained weakly. "They're telepathic aquatic beings. Those ships belong to the Card Imperium, a species that evolved without the capacity for empathy. The Card see the Viraki as simply resources to be harvested." "Are they inside your head?" Jackson asked, disturbed. Chen shook her head. "Not exactly. It's more like they're broadcasting, and somehow I'm receiving. They're as shocked as we are. In their history, they've encountered 4 other spacefaring races. None could detect their psychic communications." Dr. Patel's eyes widened with scientific excitement. "This confirms my theory. Humans possess unique mirror neuron structures that must allow us to bridge between consciousness types." "They're dying," Chen interrupted. "The Card are systematically exterminating them, and they don't even recognize it as genocide. The Viraki are telepathically sophisticated but technologically limited. They never developed spacecraft or weapons." Santos looked at the scans of the massive Card vessels. The Discovery was outgunned by orders of magnitude. "Tell the Viraki we hear them," she said firmly. "And we're going to help." On the view screen, a Card harvester drew another mountain of water from the dying world below. "Their brains are remarkable," Dr. Patel said, gesturing to the holographic model floating above the conference table. "The Card central nervous system has evolved for pure computational efficiency." The neural structure rotating before them was unlike anything in Earth's xenobiology database. Crystalline nodes connected by precise pathways, devoid of the messy redundancies found in most sentient brains. "No limbic system equivalent," he continued. "No emotional processing centers. They experience the universe as pure data and logical outcomes." Captain Santos studied the alien brain. "And that's why they can't hear the Viraki." "Precisely. The Card physically cannot process empathic information. It's like trying to pick up radio signals with a thermometer." Chen sat cross-legged on the floor of her quarters, eyes closed, neural monitor bands encircling her forehead. Dr. Okafor watched the readings with professional fascination. "The connection is strengthening," Okafor noted. "Your mirror neurons are firing in perfect synchronization with the alien telepathic patterns." "I can see their world as it was," Chen whispered. "Vast cities in the deep ocean trenches, art made of light and sound. They were beautiful." A tear slid down her cheek. "Their history has been peaceful. They've never developed weapons because they've never needed them. Their telepathy made deception impossible among their kind." Commander Jackson's tactical team gathered around the enhanced sensor readings of the Card flagship. "We've intercepted and decoded some of their data transmissions," Lieutenant Zhang reported. "It's disturbing." The screen filled with Card technical diagrams, biological components labeled with efficiency ratings, extraction procedures, preservation methods. "They're not just harvesting water and general biomatter," Jackson said grimly. "They're specifically collecting Viraki neural tissue." Zhang nodded. "The telepathic organs are being preserved and integrated into some kind of organic computing system. They're farming them," a young ensign whispered, "like we would harvest computer chips." Santos stood alone on the observation deck, watching the Card harvesters continue their methodical work. A decision weighed on her. Dr. Patel entered, carrying his latest research findings. "Captain, I've made a breakthrough." He activated his tablet, showing comparative brain scans, human, Viraki, Card, and 3 other known sentient species. "Humans possess a unique neural architecture," he explained. Our brains evolved with both logical processing capabilities and highly developed empathic centers. He highlighted specific structures in the human brain. These mirror neuron complexes. They're more developed in humans than in any other known species. They allow us to not just recognize emotions in others, but to actually experience them vicariously. We're the universal translators of emotional language, Santos murmured. Yes, we can both understand the card's logical communications and receive the Viraki's telepathic broadcasts. We bridge between consciousness types. Santos turned back to the viewport. Can we make the card understand what they're doing? Patel hesitated. Theoretically, yes. But forcing empathy on a species that evolved without it would be like forcing color vision on someone born completely colorblind. The neural pathways simply don't exist. Then we build them, Santos said firmly, reaching for her communicator. Senior staff meeting in 10 minutes. It's time we showed the card what mercy looks like. This is either brilliant or suicidal, Commander Jackson said, studying the holographic battle projections. Probably both. The senior staff gathered around the situation table, faces illuminated by the glowing tactical display of the card harvester fleet. Direct military intervention is impossible, Santos acknowledged. Their vessels outgun us by several orders of magnitude. We need a different approach. Lieutenant Jung, the ship's engineering prodigy, stepped forward. Her hands danced across the controls, bringing up schematics of the Discovery's communications array. I can modify our quantum communication system to amplify and retransmit the Viraki telepathic signal, she explained. Not just to the card, but back toward human space. Will other humans receive it at that distance? Dr. Okafor asked. Zong nodded. The quantum entanglement network we use for FTL communication doesn't degrade with distance. If we can receive the signal here, humans near the relay stations will receive it too. Dr. Chen lay on the biobid, neural interface nodes attached to her temples. Her face was pale but determined. The risk is significant, Dr. Patel warned. No human has attempted a direct neural interface with a non-human consciousness before. The psychic feedback could cause permanent damage. We don't have a choice, Chen replied. The Viraki elders are too weak to broadcast effectively without a conduit. I'm the strongest receiver on board. Santos squeezed her hand. We'll monitor every neural pathway. At the first sign of danger, we pull you out. Chen managed a small smile. The Viraki have a saying. To share another's pain is to have it. To share another's joy is to double it. They've been sharing pain for too long. It's time someone shared it with them. Commander Jackson checked his stealth suit one final time. Around him, 5 crew members did the same. The Discovery's best tactical team. Our mission is information gathering and targeted sabotage, he briefed them. We need to disable the primary harvesting mechanisms on the nearest card ship. Every hour we buy gives the Viraki more time. And if we're detected? Asked Lieutenant Dias. Jackson's expression was grim. The Discovery will deny all knowledge of our operation. We knew the risks when we volunteered. On the bridge, Santos opened a channel to the card flagship. After several minutes, a humanoid figure appeared on screen. Tall, with translucent skin revealing crystalline internal structures pulsing with light. I am Executor X7843 of the Card Imperium, the alien stated. Its voice was perfectly modulated, devoid of inflection. Your presence is irrelevant to our resource acquisition. Depart or do not. It affects nothing. Santos leaned forward. I am Captain Maya Santos of the Earth vessel Discovery. We request cessation of your harvesting operations. The species you are harvesting is sentient. Sentience is irrelevant. Efficiency is paramount. The neural tissues yield optimal computing substrates. We can offer alternative technologies, Santos countered. Quantum computing systems that outperform biological components. The card's expression remained unchanged. Your proposal has been evaluated and rejected. This exchange is terminated. The screen went dark. All stations, Santos commanded. Begin Operation Empathy Bridge. We have 3 days to save a world. Commander Jackson's team moved silently through the card harvester's dimly lit maintenance ducts. The alien vessel's interior was a testament to cold efficiency. No decoration, no comfort, nothing but function. Life signs. Jackson whispered into his comm. 3 card signatures 2 levels below. Lieutenant Diaz responded. They follow exact patrol patterns. 90-second intervals. They reached a junction where the narrow tunnels opened into a vast chamber. What they saw stopped them cold. Thousands of transparent containers lined the walls, each holding a glistening mass of neural tissue suspended in fluid. Soft blue light pulsed within each container. "My God," whispered Ensign Castillo. "Those are Vyraki telepathic organs," Jackson confirmed grimly. "Still functioning. Still aware." A wave of nausea swept through the team as the horrible truth dawned on them. These weren't just harvested organs. They were conscious. They were suffering. Dr. Chen screamed, her back arching off the biobid, as the neural interface activated. Her vitals spiked dangerously. "We're losing her," Dr. Okafor shouted, reaching for the emergency disconnect. Dr. Pittle grabbed his wrist. "Wait. The patterns are stabilizing." Chen's body relaxed, though her face remained contorted in pain. On the neural displays, her brainwave patterns synchronized with the distinctive telepathic signature of the Vyraki. "She's done it," Patel whispered. "She's become the bridge." Through the ship's modified communications array, the Vyraki's desperate plea began broadcasting at full strength, not just to the card, but back toward human space. Aboard Earth's gateway station, Commander Elena Rodriguez jolted awake, gasping. Around her, dozens of crew members were experiencing the same thing, clutching their heads, crying out, some collapsing to the floor. "What's happening?" she demanded of the medical team. "Reports coming in from everywhere, Commander," the chief medical officer replied, his own face ashen. "Luna Colony, Mars, the Jupiter stations, all Earth-side facilities. Everyone's experiencing the same nightmare." Rodriguez closed her eyes, seeing flashes of alien oceans, feeling the terror of drowning while being systematically harvested. And beneath it all, coordinates, a distant star system, a plea for help. This isn't just a nightmare, she realized. It's a distress call. On the Discovery's bridge, the first response arrived. "Signal from the Earth ship Mercy," Lieutenant Park announced, surprise evident in his voice. "Captain Rivera says they've diverted course and are coming to our position. Estimated arrival, 72 hours. Another alert sounded. Another signal. It's the UNS Defiant. They've abandoned their patrol route. Coming our way. The communications console lit up like a Christmas tree. More signals coming in, Park reported, voice rising with excitement. The Jakarta, the Zhengyi, the Nairobi, civilian vessels, science ships, military. They're all responding. On the main viewer, the card continued their methodical harvesting, oblivious to the approaching reckoning. Captain Santos stood at the center of her bridge, a smile slowly spreading across her face. Send to all responding vessels. The Vyraki called for mercy, and humanity heard. 7 human vessels approaching. Tilera reported from her science station. Configuration suggests 2 military corvettes, 1 research vessel, and 4 civilian transports. Not enough for victory, but enough to show intent. Captain Santos straightened her uniform and faced the view screen. Open a channel to the card flagship. Executor X-7843 appeared, its crystalline features showing no reaction to the human fleet's arrival. Your reinforcements are insufficient to impede our operation. We're not here to fight, Santos replied. We're here to offer you something valuable. The card's head tilted slightly, the first sign of interest. Specify. Advanced quantum computing technology that outperforms biological components by orders of magnitude. For several seconds, the card was silent, internal lights pulsing as it processed the offer. Your proposal warrants evaluation. Transmit specifications. Santos smiled thinly. First, you will cease harvesting operations and release all captured Vireki. Unacceptable. Resource acquisition is 78.3% complete. Santos nodded to Lieutenant Zhang, who activated a sequence on her console. Then perhaps you need a better understanding of what you're harvesting. In sickbay, Dr. Chen lay suspended in a neural interface chamber, her consciousness merged with the Vireki elders. As Zhang's signal reached her, Chen's eyes flew open, glowing with blue light. Now, she whispered, her voice harmonizing with 1,000 others. Aboard the card flagship, Executor Enx 7843 suddenly staggered, clutching its crystalline head. For the first time in its existence, it felt something beyond calculation, a wave of foreign sensation crashing through neural pathways never designed to carry such information. Fear, pain, desperation. The Discovery's modified signal, amplified through Dr. Chen's neural link, was force-feeding empathy directly into the card consciousness. What is this corruption? It demanded, its perfectly modulated voice fracturing. You have damaged our cognitive systems. On screen, Santos could see the card commander physically recoiling from its control console, experiencing the suffering of another being for the first time. No, Santos replied calmly. We've upgraded them. Commander Jackson's team worked frantically to sever the neural connections between the harvested Vireki organs and the card chip systems. Hurry, Jackson urged as alarms began blaring through the vessel. They're discovering what empathy feels like, and they don't like it. The card crew moved erratically now, their perfect efficiency disrupted by sensations they had no context for processing. Some collapsed, overwhelmed by the unfamiliar neural activity. Last section, Lieutenant Diaz reported, disconnecting another bank of containers. The ship's system efficiency is dropping. They can't function without these processing units. Good, Jackson said grimly. Let them learn what it's like to lose something they depend on. On the bridge, Santos watched as the card harvesting operations stuttered and halted. One by one, the massive mechanical tendrils withdrew from the planet's oceans. The main human fleet will arrive within 6 hours, T-Lara reported. 43 vessels at current count. Santos nodded, eyes fixed on the card executor still visible on screen. Its translucent features were distorted with what could only be described as pain. You force us to feel their termination, it said, the words coming with difficulty. This is inefficient. No, Santos corrected. This is mercy. And it's just the beginning. The main human fleet emerged from FTL in an awesome display. Not a military armada, but hundreds of vessels of every shape and size. Massive colony ships alongside tiny personal yachts. Scientific vessels beside cargo haulers. Military protectors flanking civilian transports. All responding to a cry that only humans could hear. They formed a protective ring around the Vireki homeworld. A wall of humanity standing between the threatened and their harvesters. Final count. 317 vessels. T-Lara reported, a hint of awe breaking through her professional demeanor. 94% are civilian. Captain Santos stood before the viewscreen where the card executor watched the human fleet with what could now be recognized as trepidation. This is not an invasion force, Santos explained. These are ordinary humans who felt the Vireki's pain and chose to help. The executor's crystalline features flickered with unfamiliar neural patterns. Inefficient, illogical. They gain nothing. That, Santos said softly, is mercy. In the sacred gathering chamber deep beneath Vireki's oceans, Dr. Chen floated among the surviving elders. Her neural implants allowed her physical form to experience their underwater realm, while her mind communed directly with theirs. Your people came for us, Elder Nima projected, her thoughts tinged with wonder. So many, from so far. Humans can be unpredictable, Chen replied, a smile in her thoughts. When we hear suffering, something in us needs to respond. No species has ever defended another without gain. Elder Thul noted. Until now. Perhaps that's our gain, Chen suggested, to know we're not alone in feeling. The conference room aboard the Discovery hosted an unprecedented gathering. 3 card representatives, 3 Vairaki elders sustained in water-filled environmental suits, and Captain Santos with her senior staff. We proposed the empathy protocol, Santos stated, activating the holographic document, a framework for interaction between telepathic and non-telepathic species. The lead card, Executor X7843, studied the document. Its movements were less precise now, its perfect efficiency compromised by newly awakened neural pathways. Our harvesting operations were optimal by our evaluation metrics, it said slowly. But our metrics were incomplete. The first admission of error in recorded card history, T. Lara murmured. We will withdraw, the executor continued. The efficiency loss from continued harvesting exceeds acceptable parameters when suffering is included in calculations. Elder Naima's environmental suit rippled as she moved forward, and our people who have been taken. Those still viable will be returned, the executor stated. Our systems must be recalibrated for alternative computing substrates. 1 month later, Dr. Chen stood on the observation deck, watching the last card vessel depart Vairaki space. Beside her, Captain Santos gazed at the recovering oceanic world below. They're calling it the miracle of mercy, Santos said, showing Chen the transmission from Earth Command. The first interstellar treaty based on empathy rather than power. Chen smiled, touching her temple where the neural implant remained. The Vairaki have a new saying, we called for mercy, and only humans heard us. What happens now? Santos asked. Now. Chen looked out at the stars. Now we listen more carefully. There are other calls out there, other species suffering in silence. And humanity will hear them. Santos nodded. That, Chen said, is what makes us human.